Death Mage Volume 9 Character Summary Part 2.
Xantark, war god of fire and destruction, years old myth.
The great god of the fire attribute. He is the ancestor god of the dwarves, and during the Age of the Gods, he was the one who ruled the other combat-related gods. When the demon king Gujarani's invaded from another world, he led his subordinate gods and fought on the front lines alongside the elder dragon emperor god Marduk, the colossus god Zerno, and the beast god Ganpaplio. At the summoning of the champions, he chose the most promising youngster who had the best compatibility with his divine protection, Tauyama Kinji, the one who later became known as Farman Gold. Farman went on to become a combat-oriented champion, often working together with Alda's champion Belwood and Shazarian's champion Nineroad, separately from Zakart and the other creation-oriented champions. However, this was because Xantark's feelings and ways of thinking were similar to Alda's, not because he had a disdain for the creation-oriented champion's ways of thinking and sense of values. Having received a divine protection from a war god, it was only natural for Farman's powers to lean towards combat, and with that being the case, he often fulfilled the same role as the other combat-oriented champions on the battlefield. It was simply that he often fought separately from Zakart and the other creation-oriented champions. However, it is thought that he did feel some dissatisfaction towards Vita and her followers at the fact that they had prioritized strengths other than strength in combat when choosing their champions, despite the fact that they were engaged in a war against the Demon King. Deeply wounded in the war against the Demon King, Xantark bought time for Farman and Belwood to retreat and fell into a slumber that lasted tens of thousands of years. But deciding that it would be better than having his soul destroyed by the Demon King Gujarani's while he slumbered, he fused with the evil god of dark dust and the evil god of evil darkness by absorbing them. However, he lost his sanity as a result of absorbing evil gods that were of such a different nature from him, and became a berserk god who went on a rampage, unable to tell friend apart from foe. The resulting chaos allowed Farman and the other champions to escape, and the Demon King's army retreated as well. The Demon King Gujarani's did not go out of his way to defeat the psychotic Xantark. Deciding that Xantark's insanity would continue for some time, he simply let him be for the rest of the war. Indeed, by the time Xantark regained his sanity, though it was not entirely intact, Gujarani's had already been defeated by Belwood. After that, it was a very natural flow of events that he joined Vita's faction instead of Alda's, as he had become unable to communicate with anyone but evil gods. After the war between Vita and Alda, he fled to the demon continent with the Majin and Kijin ancestors who were his children, as well as Tiamat and the other gods. There, they remained hidden. He feels truly responsible for the fact that Farman joined the enemy. Farman was his own champion, and he had failed to teach him about things that were more important than power. But if he were to ask for forgiveness from the other gods, it is possible that they would not only not forgive him, but turn on him. Thus, he has chosen to simply watch over Farman. However, as a war god, he acknowledges Farman's strength. Even though Xantark fought in a crude, berserk way, Farman held him back alone when he was still immortal.
Farman Gold, fire attribute heroic god, years old.
The champion chosen and summoned by Xantark from the world of Earth, which is similar to Earth. He was known as Tauyama Kinji before he changed his name. His parents died when he was still young, and he was aiming to become an adventurer while attending university on the payout from his parents' life insurance. When Xantark invited him to another world, he could sense that this would be an adventure of a lifetime, and so he moved to Lambda. He was an amateur when it came to unarmed combat, but he had been aiming to become an adventurer, so his body was well trained. It adapted to Xantark's divine protection quickly, and he acquired the greatest strength in hand-to-hand combat among all of the champions. Thus, he often fought on the front lines during the war against the Demon King, and spent much of his time in the company of Belwood and Nineroad, the other combat-oriented champions. This led to many opportunities for Farman to hear Belwood's words, and because they had things in common such as a desire for adventure and a desire to protect the natural environment, His thoughts were painted by Bellwood's ideologies. Even after Zakhart and the other creation-oriented champions were destroyed by the Demon King, despite the guilt he felt, defeating the Demon King and saving humanity was a necessity, so he continued to fight alongside Bellwood, who insisted that the other champions' sacrifice must not go to waste. The Demon King Gujarani's was defeated after many great losses, but the world needed to be restored. Vita separated from Alda and the other gods, followed by her subordinate gods, her believers and the evil gods of the Demon King's army whom Zakhart had convinced to change sides. Farman thought that this was because the relationship between the former evil gods of the Demon King's army and Alda and his followers had worsened, and because Vita's faction had lost faith in Alda's faction after humanity was pushed to the brink of extinction. Even so, Bellwood was enraged and believed that at least Vita's distant descendants would understand his perspective. "Is this not a betrayal?" he shouted. But Farman talked him down and silently watched them leave. However, approximately 100 years later, he heard from Bellwood, whose lifespan had been extended by Alda, that Vita had lost her sanity. Though the world had to be restored while battling against the remnants of the Demon King's army and the monsters that continued to multiply in number, Vita had mated with evil gods to produce races that could be called neither man nor monster, as well as true monster races such as noble orcs, high kobolds, and high goblins. On top of that, in her efforts to bring Zakhart back to life, she had turned him into an undead and created the fearsome vampires, as well as corpse-eating demons called ghouls. That was what Bellwood told Farman. No harmless undead that could be reasoned with existed in Lambda at the time, and Xantark stood as proof that even gods could go mad. Thus, Farman did not doubt Bellwood's words. Bellwood insisted that at this rate, Vita would gather more forces and become an inerasable threat to the still recovering humanity. Agreeing with him, Farman made the decision to fight against his former comrades. But when it came to the actual war, Vita's cities did have sturdy walls, but they were unprepared for large-scale battles. The new races that were neither man nor monster were supposedly evil, but the only difference between them and humans was their appearances. They helped and protected one another. Farman faced his former comrade in arms, Zorkadrio, who was now a pure-breed vampire. Though he was supposedly an inhuman monster, he was just as noble as he had been during the war against the Demon King. "In what part of this attack is your so-called justice? Or are you saying that we have made some error to deserve this terrible persecution?" Zorkadrio demanded. Farman felt a sense of discomfort, but then became locked in battle against Xantark and had no time to think about anything other than combat. After the war ended in Vita and Xantark's defeat, Farman began to wonder whether he and his allies had been too hasty in their decision to attack. This was part of the reason that he formed the Adventurers Guild once the population of human immigrants to the Bon Gaia continent had grown to some extent, tried to preserve the achievements of Zakhart and the other creation-oriented champions, and instructed the guild to accept anyone who wished to join, regardless of their race. But it was several years after Bellwood and the evil god of sinful chains struck each other down, and Bellwood fell into a slumber, that Farman became aware of the mistakes that he and his allies had made. Continuing his work to maintain the world on behalf of Xantark, who had become unable to return to his original divine realm due to having fused with evil gods, he left Alda's forces and is now a part of Vita's faction. However, he allowed them to strike him 100 times as a way of atonement, and his relations with the gods of Vita's faction were very stiff before Vandalyu arrived on the Demon Continent.
Dalton Dark Elf, 155 years old, male.
A member of the Storm of Tyranny, an S-class adventurer party from the Amid Empire. With the help of the Adventurers Guild receptionist whose heart Schneider had won, he registered with the guild as a human. He disguises himself in human society with a magic item that makes his ears look round. With achievements such as arriving at the Demon Continent and returning alive, he became an S-class adventurer before he knew it. He has a muscular figure, a mohawk and like spiked leather clothing. He also carries a spiked staff that he can also use as a club. He is often told that he looks like a criminal, and most women and children who see him for the first time are afraid of him. Just as one would expect from his appearance, He speaks with a rough tone and is unmatched when it comes to drinking. However, his personality is considerably closer to that of an ordinary person than Schneider's, and he is kind to women and children. He is the type who can have a fist fight with someone down by the river in the afternoon, and then be friendly with them again by the evening. He is a devout follower of Vita, and generally views Alda's clergymen, the Amid Empire, and the noble families of the Empire as enemies. However, he does not detest the Amid Empire's people to the point that he would massacre them indiscriminately. In that regard, he can be considered a part of a moderate faction. His hair and fashion choices are not for the purpose of disguising himself in human society. They were popular trends among the dark elves of his home village several thousand years ago. Thus, he considers himself to be the nostalgic type. He dresses this way, even in human society, as a way to highlight the irony of the fact that humans persecute members of Vita's races, but take no notice of him just because his ears appear round. Dalton was Schneider's first ally. Before meeting Schneider, he never ventured into human society. He helped the hidden villages of Vita's races in the western region of the continent move around, maintained coordination between the races, and helped them solve problems. One day, he heard that there was an adventurer coming and going from a hidden village of Lamias. Suspicious, he went to investigate and encountered a young Schneider, and the two of them became good friends. At first, Dalton trained Schneider, who was still just a C-class adventurer at the time, but Schneider became a comrade of equal strength before long. Thus, Dalton was Schneider's master. However, the story told to the public in human society is that he is a survivor of a primitive tribe whom Schneider found and deemed to have good qualities. He is an extremely capable individual. In the distant past, he was a standard dark elf spiritual mage, but after changing his fashion style to his current one, he began using clubs as weapons, and many of his jobs and skills have the barbarian prefix. He has interpreted this as having become one with his primitive nature, and sees it as a positive thing. He is accompanied by many spirits, but for some reason, when they show themselves before others, they have a mohawk like him, and they often have piercings and tattoos as well. It seems that they consider him a friend and like to mimic him. He has recently acquired Vita's divine protection and another mysterious one, and he has also become able to summon familiar spirits, so he and Schneider are very pleased with this. However, he thinks that soon, Vandalu's spirit clones will descend instead when he summons a familiar spirit. It seems that the dream in which he received the mysterious divine protection was quite frightening. Incidentally, he did not register at the Tamers Guild. This is because Schneider has not won the heart of the receptionist there. He did have other chances to register later, but he decided that it would just cause more work for him at that point, so he did not register in the end. Name Dalton. Race Dark Elf. Age 155. Titles: Friend of the Spirits, Pilgrim Saint, Barbarian, Criminal-Looking Man, Dragon Slayer, Spirit General, Survivor of the Demon Continent. Job: Barbarian Spirit Warrior. Level 67. Job history: Apprentice Mage, Mage, Spiritual Mage, Spirit User, Spirit Tamer, Warrior, Spirit Club Warrior, Thief, Assassin, Grand Thief, Spirit Master, Great Spirit User. Passive skills: Dark Vision. Magic Resistance, Level 10. Status Effect Resistance, Level 5. Enhanced Muscular Power, Level 1. Increased Magic Attack Power while equipped with a staff, Medium. Strengthened Attack Power when equipped with a club, Medium. Strengthened Agility when equipped with non-metal armor, Large. Great Spirit Enhancement, Level 10. Intuition, Level 8. Detect Presence, Level 9. Mana Cost Reduction, Level 10. Automatic Mana Recovery, Level 5. All Attributes Resistance, Level 5. Active Skills: No Attribute Magic, Level 1. Barbarian Flame King Magic, Level 5. Barbarian Storm King Magic, Level 5. Barbarian Whirlpool King Magic, Level 5. Barbarian Mountain King Magic, Level 5. Light Attribute Magic, Level 10. Life Attribute Magic, Level 10. Precise Mana Control, Level 3. Great Spiritual Magic, Level 7. Club Technique, Level 10. Unarmed Fighting Technique, Level 7. Dagger Technique, Level 3. Archery, Level 7. Coordination, Level 10. Transcend Limits, Level 1. Surpass Limits, Magic Staff, Level 10. Surpass Limits, Magic Club, Level 5. Armor Technique, Level 5. Lockpicking, Level 5. Trap, Level 7. Silent Steps, Level 10. Assassin Technique, Level 6. Magic Fighting Technique, Level 9. High-Speed Thought Processing, Level 1. Dismantling, Level 3. Familiar Spirit Descent, Level 1. Unique Skills. Friend of the Spirits. Vita's Divine Protection. Japanese letter black S Divine Protection Va.
Murden dwarf, 42 years old, female.
A small but fashionable dwarf dancer from the marine nation of Galahad, which is a vassal nation of the Amid Empire. Her father made a name for himself by felling an elder tree and changing occupation from lumberjack to adventurer. Wanting to be an adventurer like her father, Murden registered at the guild once she came of age, but she was betrayed by her party members who stole her money and equipment. She spent her nights crying and was forced to work as a dancer in a bar, and she met Schneider and Dalton by coincidence when they happened to visit her bar to drink. A strange series of events led her to joining forces with them to beat her former party members, who had become exclusive guards for the corrupt merchants running the city's red light district, to a pulp, and she became one of Schneider's companions in the aftermath. The whole ordeal took place within just 3 hours. With her joining Schneider, the storm of tyranny was formed. Murden was a believer of Botan, but when Schneider and Dalton told her the truth, she chose to believe them, as it was them who had helped her in her time of need, and not the believers of Alda, though she would never have imagined that this would result in her opposing the Empire and participating in large-scale activities for the protection of Vita's races. She is a stable character, and often helps Schneider restrain the reckless Dalton, whose personality is only somewhat ordinary, or at least, she is supposed to, but there are many occasions when she participates in the reckless rampage. She is thought to be one of Schneider's lovers, and this is actually true. Though she danced unwillingly before, she seems to have taken a liking to it. She continues with her dancing as a hobby and also as a part of her training. As a result, she possesses agility that one would not expect from a dwarf. She takes a certain amount of pride in her dancing, and she is always willing to accept a dancing challenge. As an adventurer, she stands on the front line, striking her foes with her axe and evading their attacks with the agility that she gained through her dancing. Incidentally, her active skill, Dance Robe Technique, is a superior version of the Armor Technique skill, and her unique skill, Harps Divine Protection, is that of Harps, the god of lumberjacks, a subordinate god of boatmen. Name Murden. Race Dwarf. Age 42. Titles: Battlefield Dancer, Divine Flame Dancer, Thunderclap's Lover, Woodcutting Champion, Survivor of the Demon Continent. Job: Divine Axe. Level 90. Job history: Apprentice Warrior, Warrior, Dancer, Axe Warrior, Dancing Warrior, Magic Axe User, Magic Warrior, Axe Dancer, Berserker, Amazoness, Axe Master, Great Axe Master. Passive skills: Dark Vision. Augmented all attribute values, small. Strengthened attack power when equipped with an axe, very large. Strengthened agility when equipped with non-metal armor, large. Status effect resistance, level 5. Mental resistance, level 5. Magic resistance, level 4. Intuition, level 7. Self-enhancement, dancing, level 10. Allure, level 4. Murder healing, level 5. Active skills: Dancing Axe Technique, level 10. Shield Technique, level 2. Dance Robe Technique, level 10. Unarmed Fighting Technique, level 10. Coordination, level 8. Divine Dancing, level 10. Throwing, level 9. Transcend Limits, level 6. Transcend Limits Magic Axe, level 7. Magic Fighting Technique, level 7. Deforestation, level 8. Housework level 3. Unique skills. Harp's divine protection. Plant killer. Black 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 Japanese letter, S divine protection Lu.
Lisana Jurizanapipe, elf evil god of degeneration and intoxication, 98 years old female.
The fourth individual to join the storm of tyranny. She appears to be a beautiful young elf at first glance, but she is actually an evil god who was reincarnated as an elf. At Zachert's invitation, she betrayed the Demon King's army and fought Gujaranis alongside the humans in the war that took place 100,000 years ago. But she was defeated and chose to be reincarnated rather than sealed away by Alda's forces. As a result, she escaped safely, but she was reincarnated 100,000 years later as an elf. She hadn't expected so much time to pass, and the elf body she gained was much more fragile and frailer than she had expected. She also suffered from the fact that it took time for her body to develop. A decade or two would have felt short to her in the past, but it was a long time to spend in the body of a child. After that, the name Jurizanapipe had been erased in human society by Alda's forces, so she became an adventurer in order to gain followers and regain her former power, and also to gather information. She intended to increase her fame and use the people who respected her as her believers. Her final goal was to cross the Boundary Mountain Range and join Vita's faction. However, she encountered Schneider, whose intuition allowed him to realize that she was an evil god. Lisana thought that she would have no choice but to fight him, but Schneider was uninterested in fighting. "Tell me the truth about what happened 100,000 years ago," he pleaded. Lisana told him what she knew, and through various twists and turns, they became allies. She is the evil god that Schneider is known to have defeated. As someone who was directly involved in the battle that took place 100,000 years ago, she is the member of the party with the deepest anger towards Farmon. This also seems largely due to the fact that every Adventurers Guild branch has a statue of Farmon, as if worshipping him, however. She plays a backline mage role in the party, but she actually possesses enough strength to fight on the front line. When she first joined the Storm of Tyranny, she was targeted by assassins who had grudges towards Schneider and his companions, but she repelled them every time, earning her the Assassin Slayer title. As she is an evil god, it would be expected that she has a different sense of values from humans, but as she has been reincarnated and now possesses the body of an elf, the structure of her mind has partially become closer to that of a mortal. This is why she has acquired the semi-grotesque mind skill. She has acquired many jobs and skills related to alcohol. Incidentally, Schneider ordinarily abstains from drinking, but drinks with Lisana to boost his attribute values when the situation calls for it. Originally an evil god, Lisana did not have a status. However, by being reincarnated as an elf, she has become a part of the status system. Incidentally, she is able to exert some amount of control over which parts of her status are displayed. In the below status, the information in brackets is not known to the Adventurers Guild. Name: Lisana Jurizanapipe. Race: Elf Evil God. Age: 98. Titles: Thunderclap's Lover, Assassin Slayer, Defensive Backline Elf, Demon Continent Survivor. Job: Reincarnated Evil God. Level: 85s. Job history: Apprentice Hunter, Mage, Water Attribute Mage, Priestess, Intoxicating Mage, Intoxication Warrior, Intoxicating Swordsman, Intoxicating Evil God, Great Mage. Passive skills: Dark Vision. Status Effect Resistance, Level 10. Water Attribute Nullification. Detect Presence, Level 10. Magic Resistance, Level 7. Physical Resistance, Level 2. Self-Enhancement Intoxication, Level 10. Rapid Regeneration, Level 3. Others Enhancement Intoxication, Level 10. Increased Mana Recovery Rate Intoxication, Level 10. Automatic Mana Recovery, Level 10. Allure, Level 7. Active Skills: Archery, Level 2. Silent Steps, Level 7. Trap, Level 4. Dismantling, Level 3. Cooking, Level 4. Coordination, Level 10. No Attribute Magic, Level 4. Intoxication Magic, Level 10. Life Attribute Magic, Level 5. Mana Control, Level 10. Intoxicating Swordsmanship, Level 1. Unarmed Fighting Technique, Level 7. Bedroom Skill, Level 5. Unique Skills. Evil God's Reincarnated Form, Level 10. Semi-Grotesque Mind.
Sig human, 3 years old male.
Zorkadrio's stepson, who will turn 4 years old this year. His real father is Marshixarl, the emperor of the Amid Empire. Marshixarl plotted a scheme in which he brainwashed the woman pregnant with his son and altered her memories so that she would later be rescued by the storm of tyranny. On top of that, Sieg is actually a reincarnated individual like Vandalyu, the Skanda Tanaka gene. However, though his memories and personality awakened temporarily, they faded away again, and he is also unaware of the situation regarding his true father. He is a child of mixed race between the half-elf Marshixarl and a human mother, but he is human in race, and his appearance reflects that. He has not inherited any elf-like features, other than that his ears may be just slightly longer than average. His true father is an emperor. The father who is raising him is an abyssal purebreed vampire, and he will soon be an older brother to a dampier sibling. It is likely that a life full of trouble awaits him.
Heinz Human, 28 years old male.
The leader of Alda's peaceful faction and national hero of the Orbam Kingdom, who entered Alda's dungeon in order to become Belwood's successor and question Alda's justice and will. He intended to conquer the trial of Zakhart to avenge Martina, who was also his lover, but Vandalyu conquered it first, and Heinz entered Alda's dungeon instead. He has done many things in the name of Alda's peaceful faction, such as protecting the Dampier Sellen, protesting against the Adventurers Guild that discriminates against Vita's races, and turning in corrupt merchants capturing and selling members of Vita's races. However, he still belongs to human society, and he has merely been aiming to achieve a peace to the extent that human society would allow, thinking that this extent would grow wider someday. Vandalyu intuitively realized this, and decided that Heinz is not valuable enough to warrant suppressing his hatred in order to let him live. Heinz also strongly believes that undead are unnatural, dangerous creatures that should not exist, so his views are indeed incompatible with Vandalyu's. He lost the heroic spirit Joshua, whom he was able to summon via the heroic spirit descent skill that awakened from familiar spirit descent to Vandalyu. On top of that, both his heart and his soul were deeply wounded by the attack that Darsha inflicted on him while he was in a so lonely state, and he is currently recovering in the divine realm of Mil, the goddess of slumber.
Edgar Human, 31 years old male.
The Scout of the Five-Colored Blades. He is a senpai over the other party members when it comes to being an adventurer, and he has supported the party as such. He is not strongly religious. He never really considered himself to be a follower of any particular god, but becoming a part of Heinz's party made him a follower of Alda, and he gained Niltark's divine protection without even realizing it. He has the kind of face that one would definitely see at least one of if they were to visit a slum. He has short hair, an unpleasant look in his eye, and a stubble. As his appearance would suggest, he did originally grow up in a slum. Because of his background, he shows sympathy for the poor. This is also the cause for his appreciation for many of Heinz's activities as part of Alda's peaceful faction. Many members of Vita's races living in human society live in poverty as well. However, he shows no mercy towards Vita's races that harm human society, like ghouls and Magin. He deals with them in the same way as monsters and bandits. He hesitates a little when faced with powerless women and children, but he decides that it is best to put them to rest, as they wouldn't be able to survive even if they were spared, because they are so powerless. He also considers Vandalyu to be a threat to human society, but more importantly, he is a dangerous enemy who is after the lives of Edgar and his companions. Vandalyu wounded Edgar to the point that his soul was on the verge of collapsing. Alda, having decided it likely that Edgar would become disabled as a result, asked Rodcourt to repair his soul. Rodcourt is apparently using the soul fragments of Niltark's heroic spirit Luke, who was destroyed during the battle against Vandalyu. But whether Edgar will return as the old Edgar is very uncertain.
Deliza dwarf, 32 years old, female.
A blue-haired dwarf woman, the last of the original members of the Five-Colored Blades. She supports the party's defense. She chose to support Heinz in his activities as a part of Alda's peaceful faction because she had seen his potential as a hero. She did not dislike doing good deeds, and becoming high-class adventurers would mean that they would play a bigger role in society. However, she simply chose the same path as Heinz. But she does have compassion for those other than her party members. She thinks of Selin as her younger sister, and she hopes that her activities as a part of Alda's peaceful faction will lead to a world where Selin can live in peace. She feels some sympathy and guilt towards Vandalu, but she prioritizes fulfilling her role as a shield bearer over those emotions. She is currently resting in the divine realm of Mil, the goddess of slumber, after having sustained a small amount of damage to her soul. However, she is planning to return to the city, where Jennifer and Diana are waiting in a few days' time. She is an exceptional shield bearer, but her taunting-related martial skills have no effect on Vandalu, and he has multiple attacks that she cannot block with her shield, such as Bloodlust, making him one of the worst foes that she could possibly face. The below status is her status at the time of the battle against Vandalu. Name Deliza. Race dwarf. Age 32. Titles Red Flame Shield, one who tears through the darkness, Holy Mother Killer. Job Radiant Roaring Flame Shield Warrior. Level 58. Job History: Apprentice Warrior, Warrior, Guardian Warrior, Great Guardian Warrior, Heavy Warrior, Magic Shield Warrior, Club Warrior, Holy Warrior, Shield Warrior, Radiant Flame Shield Warrior. Passive Skills: Dark Vision. All Attributes Resistance, Level 10. Status Effect Resistance, Level 10. Detect Presence, Level 5. Intuition, Level 6. Physical Resistance, Level 10. Increased Defense when equipped with a shield, Large. Increased Defense when equipped with metal armor, Large. Self-Enhancement, Guidance, Level 6. Enhanced Attribute Values, Covering, Level 10. Active Skills: Club Technique, Level 10. Radiant Flame Shield Technique, Level 8. Radiant Flame Armor Technique, Level 5. Coordination, Level 10. Transcend Limits, Level 7. Transcend Limits Magic Shield, Level 8. Transcend Limits Magic Armor, Level 7. Dismantling, Level 2. Etiquette, Level 1. Heroic Spirit Descent, Level 5. Unique Skills: Alda's Divine Protection.
Diana Elf, 111 years old, female.
The elf woman who joined the Five-Colored Blades after they entered the Orbom Kingdom and faced the trial of Zakert. She is a priestess of Mil, the goddess of slumber, who is a life attribute subordinate god of Alda. She comes from a church of Mil in a remote place. She was raised there after being born an atavistic elf to a human mother who took shelter there. When her mother died, she left the church to continue her training and became an adventurer, as the occupation was convenient for traveling between various countries. She repeatedly formed and disbanded temporary parties as she went from city to city, duchy to duchy, and met Heinz and his companions one fateful day. At that moment, she received a divine message from Mil. Sensing that this was her destiny, she joined the Five-Colored Blades. She is a typical elf-like beauty with a dainty figure, almond-shaped eyes and long hair. She is in charge of supporting her allies with spells as well as the party's healing. She is able to cast some offensive spells, but it is not her specialty. She is the member of the Five-Colored Blades with the lowest offensive ability, but her true value lies in her support of her allies. It was Heinz's influence that led to her becoming a part of Alda's peaceful faction, but her protection of the Dampier Selin is not because of her belonging to that faction. It is something that she has chosen to do as a person. Through acts such as these, she has learned that Vita's races are no different from human races. This is why she was very shocked to learn from Vandalu that ghouls are a race created by Vita. Of course, she does believe that undead are an evil that should not exist, as one would expect of a priestess of a god who belongs to Alda's faction. She is currently in the city with Jennifer, waiting for Heinz and the others to return. Incidentally, she is not only an honorary noble in the Orbam kingdom, but also an honorary high priestess in the Church of Mill. The below status is her status at the time of the battle against Vandalu. Name Diana. Race elf. Age 111. Titles Pilgrim Saint Purple Phosphorus Staff, one who tears through the darkness. Job Healer. Level 80. Job History Apprentice Priestess, Priestess Mage, Clergyman, Life Attribute Mage, Enchantment Mage, Healing Mage, Great Mage, Philosopher, Great Philosopher. Passive Skills Night Vision. Status Effect Resistance, Level 5. Increased magic power when equipped with a staff, small. Mana Cost Reduction, Level 8. Increased Mana Recovery Rate, Level 10. Automatic Mana Recovery, Level 8. Magic Resistance, Level 3. Enhanced Attribute Values, Backline, Level 10. Self-Enhancement, Faith, Level 10. Self-Enhancement, Guidance, Level 5. Mana Enlargement, Level 3. Active Skills. No Attribute Magic, Level 1. Light Life Magic, Level 8. Wind Attribute Magic, Level 10. Water Attribute Magic, Level 10. Precise Mana Control, Level 1. Clergyman, Level 10. Transcend Limits, Level 5. Transcend Limits Magic Staff, Level 1. Staff Technique, Level 1. Coordination, Level 10. Heroic Spirit Descent, Level 3. Housework, Level 4. Etiquette, Level 3. Chant Revocation, Level 4. Unique Skills. Enhanced Healing Effectiveness, Level 5. Enhanced Enchantment Effectiveness, Level 5. Mill's Divine Protection.
Jennifer Human, 22 years old, female.
Like Diana, she is a female adventurer who joined the Five-Colored Blades after they entered the Orbam Kingdom and faced the trial of Zakhart. She had already been a well-known martial artist, and she was determined to conquer the trial of Zakhart herself. When she first joined the party, she acted self-important and spoke in a stiff tone, but she gradually showed her faults and is now completely herself in front of her companions. She acts as a part of Alda's peaceful faction because of Heinz's influence, and because of her interactions with the Dampier Sellen that the party rescued. That is why, like Diana, she was shocked to learn that ghouls are a race created by Vita. The reason she is not shocked by learning that Magin are as well is because all of the Magin that she has defeated in the Orbam Kingdom so far have been dangerous criminals. There is no reason to show mercy to individuals who pillage like bandits and plot conspiracies to destroy entire duchies, even if they are members of Vita's races. Thus, she does not regret exterminating adult ghouls who attacked adventurers and traveling merchants, but she is currently in the city with Diana, waiting for her companions to return. The below status is her status at the time of the battle against Vandalu. Name Jennifer. Race Human. Age 22. Titles White Radiant Fist, one who tears through the darkness. Job Fist Saint. Level 89. Job History Apprentice Warrior, Warrior, Martial Artist, Berserker, Magical Fighter, Magic Fist User, Immortal Slayer, Holy Fist Warrior, Holy Kick Warrior. Passive Skills. Augmented all attribute values, medium. Increased attack power while unarmed, large. Increased agility while equipped with non-metal armor, medium. All attribute resistance, level 4. Status effect resistance, level 6. Increased mana recovery rate, level 3. Active skills. Radiant Fist Technique, level 7. Throwing, level 5. Armor Technique, level 10. Transcend Limits, level 10. Transcend Limits Magic Fist, level 8. Dismantling, level 4. Coordination, level 10. Magic Fighting Technique, level 10. Heroic Spirit Descent, level 3. Housework, level 1. Unique Skills. Undead Killer, level 7. Alda's Divine Protection. Curados, the God of Records. Originally a familiar spirit who served Alda since Lambda's creation, Curados ascended to become a subordinate god. He was a light attribute god, and at the same time a record keeper for Alda. This is why there are no churches or roadside shrines that are solely dedicated to him. Statues of Alda carry a tome, which is considered a symbol of Curatos, and so he is worshipped alongside Alda. As he existed from before the war against the army brought to Lambda by the demon king Gujarani's, he was one of the gods who understood Alda's ideal of returning the world to the way it was before the demon king appeared. However, he lacked emotion, and was often incapable of understanding the illogical behaviors and inconsistent emotions of humans. This is because he did not have his own followers and did not spread his own teachings to the humans, so there was more of a distance between him and humans compared to other gods. However, he considered that to be convenient for his role as a god who kept records, so although he did lament that he could not understand humans, he never made an effort to. He kept detailed records since immediately after the world's creation, and he used those to utilize his own divine realm as Alda's dungeon. However, he created a perfect copy of the real Vandalu, causing the real Vandalu's soul to enter the dungeon. At the cost of being destroyed after having his soul devoured by Vandalu's attack, he protected the deeper floors of the dungeon, including the part that was connected to the divine realm in which Bellwood slumbers. However, he left a copy of his records for his master Alda. But there are no gods among Alda's forces who are as proficient at handling records as he was. Incidentally, as Curatos has been destroyed, all of the tomes held by the statues of Alda around the world have crumbled to pieces. Alda's followers are busy preparing to repair these.
Gazarov dwarf, 127 years old, May.
Gazarov, also known as the Hyena. An infamous villain who committed many crimes around Morksey, one of the numerous cities in the Alkram Duchy. In addition to standard bandit activities, he was involved in a wide variety of criminal activities such as trading people and stolen goods, contract killings, and drug cultivating and purifying operations. Most of these crimes were outside the city. He pillaged villages and traveling merchants, and even when he assassinated people, he would wait for the targets to venture outside the city. This was because the organization above Gazarov's is in the city of Morksey. He made his way up in the world, wielding cruelty and violence as his weapons rather than careful strategy, and he was far too capable in combat to be a bandit leader. This is because he was once the leader of a mercenary band, and even after becoming a criminal, he forced harsh training on his subordinates. However, Vandalu happened to pick the city of Morksey out of a number of possible candidate cities to infiltrate, and Gazarov's organization was wiped out as a result. Gazarov was fortunate enough to survive Vandalu's parasite-type Demon King Familiar combat experiment, but he was taken back to Talishheim alive and became one of the human experiment samples for Luciliano's experiments in the underground workshop beneath the castle. He was then turned into a suitable golem after his death. Incidentally, he possessed strength equal to a C-class adventurer while he was still alive. Name Gazarov. Race dwarf. Age 127. Title Hyena. Job Berserker. Level 75. Job history: Apprentice Warrior, Warrior, Axe Warrior. Passive skills: Dark Vision. Mental Resistance, Level 3. Enhanced Muscular Strength, Level 4. Poison Resistance, Level 1. Strengthened attack power when equipped with an axe, small. Intuition, Level 2. Active Skills: Axe Technique, Level 5. Dagger Technique, Level 1. Throwing, Level 1. Armor Technique, Level 3. Shield Technique, Level 2. Surpass Limits, Level 3. Commanding, Level 3. Coordination, Level 3. Coachman, Level 1. Mount, Level 2.
Agar human, 31 years old, male.
A veteran guard in the city of Morksey. He cannot be said to be particularly exceptional, but he has acquired the experience that one would expect someone of his age to have. He is a minor villain who extorts small amounts of money from visitors to the city who are in vulnerable positions and accepts bribes from merchants and adventurers. even when he catches prostitutes and pickpockets during his patrols around the city. If their crimes are too small, turning them in won't be achievements, so he often lets them go in exchange for money. However, he has kept his job by making sure not to get involved in really bad things. Naturally, he has never been truly involved with the Kahina Gazarov or the organization above to his, in a broad sense. He does have connections to them, but they only contact him when they need something, and he merely sells them information for a small amount of money and performs small tasks, such as delaying his patrols by pretending to have diarrhea. In other words, he is someone of equal standing as any of the city's hoodlums. That is why he has fearlessly extorted a bribe from Vandalyu and tried to get his hands on Darsha. Ignorance is bliss. But at this rate, his choices and actions may end in his own demise. He is no more capable than an average city guard soldier. However, he does possess a few special skills, as one might expect from a veteran minor villain. His name, Agar. Race, human. Age, 31. Title, none. Job, soldier. Level, 75. Job history, apprentice soldier. Passive skills. Strengthened attribute values, under command, level 1. Detect presence, level 1. Active skills. Spear technique, level 2. Unarmed fighting technique, level 1. Archery, level 1. Lockpicking, level 1. Trap, level 1. The champions, a rough summary of the champions' names, occupations, and interests from their original world. Bellwood. Chosen by Alda. Real name, Suzuki Xiaohe. Other, environmental activist, university student, passionate speaker. Zakurt. Chosen by Vita. Real name, Sakato Keisuk. Other, manager of a small-town factory, likes katsu curry, oldest of the champions, the only one who was nearly 30 years old before his age was reversed. Farmon. Chosen by Xantark. Real name, Taoyama Kinji. Other, founder of the Adventures Guild, university student who aspired to be an adventurer. Nine Road. Chosen by Shizarian. Real names, Kyuduhina. Other, the first tamer, university student, part-time worker at a pet store. Nark. Chosen by Ricklint. Real name, Akatsu Haruka. Other, devised many ways to create magic items, liberal arts degree university student. Solder. Chosen by Piria. Real names, Handa Ryauko. Other, science degree university student, was a bespectacled girl, disliked muscular men. Hilwilo. Chosen by Botan. Real name, Akinagi Shinji. Other, liked ninjas and samurais, was a stage actor in the making. Bust rankings. Shade participating despite being either hermaphroditic or asexual. Kanako participating enthusiastically. Melissa participating without thinking about it too deeply. And Darsha have joined the rankings. Incidentally, Tiamat has become the rankings consultant. Kanako and Melissa have not affected the rankings significantly, and Darsha has only changed the order of the H rank a little. However, it is possible that the previously bottom-ranked Povina will make progress and shift back and forth in rankings with Shade in the future. Some participants, such as Legion, are able to change their size by altering the shape of their bodies, but their ordinary states without such alterations are measured for the purposes of this ranking. Impossible to measure honorary consultants, Yamada and Tiamat knew. Rankings. Japanese symbol I cup. Belmond. Aizen. Quinn. Princess Levia. Japanese symbol H cup. Darsha knew. Teria. Bastia. Valkyrie Legions. Gina. Cornelia. Gizania. Japanese symbol G cup. Sila. Isis Legion. Iris. Rapiacage. Japanese symbol F cup. Eleonora rank ups. Saria. Jail. Rita. Japanese symbol E cup. Paraveil. Amuse. Ereshkigal Legion. Orbia. Japanese symbol D cup.
Keisha. Bilde. Izanami Legions.
Japanese symbol C cup.
Kanako Tsuchiya Nu. Melissa J. Sayatome Nu.
Privel.
Minuma Hitomi Legions.
Japanese symbol B cup.
Aniwaka.
Zandia.
Zadiris. Pluto Legions. Japanese symbol A cup. Baba Yaga Legions. Gyufidgarn Vessel.
Yaw cup.
Povina Rank Ups. Shade Legion Nu.
The development of Talishheim. Total population including the Demon Continent. Approximately 73,000, approximately 23,000 in Talishheim, 50,000 on the Demon Continent.
Ghouls, undead, black goblins, Anubises, Orcuses, Titans, humans, beastkin, dwarves, Scylla, half-elves, elves, lizardmen, Armins, vampires, Skoxra, Leshy, Gehenna bees, Kuryujin, Meryujin, Lamia, Draconids, Kijin, harpies, centaurs, merfolk, chaos elves, noble orcs, high kobolds, high goblins, magin, arachne, and pusa. Golems and cursed weapons are not included in the population. Facilities in Talishheim. Mercury Mirror Golems. Explorers Guild Trading Post, Distribution Center, Job-Changing Room.
Church of Vita with statues of Vita's subordinate gods, the gods of her faction, Zeroworn, Ricklint, Xantark, and Farmon.
Public bathhouses. Carts of all kinds.
Publicly managed casino. Immortal Ent Forest has had Gant Ents planted, Skogsra and Leshy proliferating.
Golem factories of all kinds.
Monster plant fields.
Training dummy grounds, inhabited by undead heroes from Alda's faction.
Theater.
Artistic paintings that remain in the minds of those who view them. Entire paintings cannot be viewed except from the sky. The Root of Life. Group housing facilities for immigration applicants, new. Dormitory for immigrants from human societies, new. B-Class Dungeon X2, +1. C-Class Dungeon X2, D-Class Dungeon X3, E-Class Dungeon X1. Dungeon for cultivating pine trees for wine X1. Amusement Beach Dungeon completed, new. Dungeon for fishing industry, new.
Dungeon to temporarily house demon army, attached to Vandalu's underground workshop. Marshlands Lizardmen District.
Capricorn Farm.
Capricorn Milking Factory.
Explorers Guild Branch. Small Shrine to Fitterg, the dragon god of 5 sins. Mental Encroachment Stone Circle. D-Class Dungeon X1, B-Class Dungeon X1.
Marshlands Scylla District.
Paddy Fields, demon ducks being used for farming.
Mud Bath Hot Springs.
Small Shrine to Maribeville, the heroic goddess of the Scylla. Explorers Guild Branch.
Huge Capybara Farm. Duck Farm.
Mental Encroachment Stone Circle. Small Dungeon for Teleportation. Sauron Liberation Front Base, former Scylla territory. Mental Encroachment Stone Circle. Automatic Undead Creating Magic Circle, used to recycle members of Duke Marm's army. D-Class Dungeon. Small Dungeon for Teleportation. Main Station of the Dark Knight Knights Order. Crude Quality Undead Army. Demon Continent New.
Xantark's Temporary Divine Realm.
City. Hot Springs. Dungeons X Countless Number.
Temporary Facilities. Notchin Concert Arena. Sam's Job-Changing Room.
Nations within the boundary mountain range under the influence of the Dark Demon Creator Path. Nations personally visited by Vandalu.
Noble Orc Kingdom.
Xanalpadna. Ghoul Nation.
High Kobold Nation.
High Goblin Nation.
Magin Nation. Kijin Nation.
Draconid Nation. Centaur Nation.
Harpy Nation. Lamia Nation.
Dark Elf Nation.
Vita's Resting Grounds.
Merfolk Nation.
Race explanation written by Luciliano, Chaos Elf.
The newest race created by Vita of Witch Darsha, following her transformation into Vita's incarnation in her divine realm and subsequent resurrection using the root of life, is the founding ancestor.
Chaos elves are normally no different in appearance from dark elves, other than the color of their skin being a little darker, and it can be assumed that their skills and such also revolve around a dark elf base. I believe that their racial traits are their high regenerative capabilities and exceptional vitality. I also believe that the entire race possesses a unique skill called chaos. It is a skill that allows the user to transform their body, and although the forms and types of transformation vary from individual to individual, it is a powerful skill that allows the user to gain skills that ordinary people would be unable to acquire. As there are only 3 Chaos Elves in existence at present, it is impossible to tell whether any other traits are unique to Chaos Elves or whether they are individual characteristics. Furthermore, their lifespan is still impossible to measure.
My research would progress much more quickly if more dark elves and elves would become Chaos Elves.
Those willing would simply need to receive the blessing of the race's ancestor, Darsha, in the form of a kiss. I would like them to apply at Talisheim's royal castle.
Once Darsha returns from the city of Morksey, I would examine any applicants, and then I assume that I would simply need to call them forward, or Darsha would visit them herself.
I am sure that the dark elf ancestor, who is apparently currently sealed away, would forgive me.